Thanks, Claude. Well, we're excited to get a game at home, homecoming, another night game. We're expecting our crowd to be extremely loud and turn out in forces, and we need them. This is an extremely high-powered offense, extremely explosive. When you watch the tape, you see the reason they are. You watch our tape against them last year. We gave up more explosives in this game than we did any other time last year. And to be honest, offensively, they've only stopped themselves. Not many people have stopped them as far as yardage. And they do a good job on defense. I think Barry always has of giving negative yardage plays, lost yardage plays. Do a good job with their front. And we struggled to block them last year. So we got a good opponent to get ready for. Be a challenge for us. Obviously, their record does not indicate how good they are, and we know that as coaches. Our job is to get that message to our players.
Raise your hand if you have a question.
What do you think your defense is as far as being prepared to take on that kind of challenge?
Well, we just got to play well. I mean, we got to play much better than we did last week. We got to have a good week of practice. I hope last week got our attention that a good quarterback that's accurate, that knows where to throw the ball, can attack a defense, and that's certainly what Mizzou has. Very similar to Vanderbilt as far as the quarterback making decisions and processing things. I think this kid's got as strong as arms as anybody in the league. He's got two really outstanding wideouts, not to mention some big tight ends, and they do a great job the RPO game. They're very hard to defend last year, and they're very hard to defend this year. Again, they stop themselves. People don't stop them. They've stopped themselves with turnovers. So we got to have a good plan, and we got to play well.
Kirby, how would you evaluate through 6 games the secondary when it comes to one-on-one situations, the quarterback's not throwing under duress, et cetera?
Some good, some bad. I mean, it's 50-50 balls. We've probably won more than 50% of them. I mean, we've had a good chance there to get the ball down, made some big plays in the Mississippi State game. Tennessee, when the ball was in the air, we made plays on it. We didn't do that all the time the other day, and we weren't in the near as tight a coverage. So you win some, you lose some when you play the style of play we play. You got to win more than you lose, and you got to affect the quarterback some. So as far as the evaluation, it's up and down depending on what game, what moment, what player.
Kirby, I was hoping you could comment on the way Nick Chubb is playing this year. He's leading the SEC in rushing, but he's not getting a lot of national acclaim really this year because you're sharing so many backs. But should he be maybe considered more for national awards? I know you're not concerned about that, but because of what he does for the team and the effect that he has on defenses and such.
Yeah, that's not for me to judge. I'm not here to lobby for anybody. I certainly love Nick, and I love our entire offensive backfield. They work so hard. I tell them all the time, the thing that sticks out to me is the teams that win, you get more individual accolades. So together, everyone achieves more. That's what team stands for. And if everybody wins, then at the end of the day, the accolades will come. So I think he's focused on that. He knows whatever's best for the team helps. I mean, Sony is the guy that nobody talks about, and he's had one of the best couple runs we've had all year. He was really productive the other day. So I think those guys obviously take away from each other when it comes to national recognition because they don't get the carries. But they don't care about that. The reason they came back was to win, and that's the ultimate goal, and right now they're helping us achieve that.
Kirby, I guess you used 5 backs the other day. Is Coach McGee and you guys, are you able to map that out a certain bit in terms of a plan of how many you want to use, or how much of it just by the feel and the way the game plays out?
Yeah, it's where the game plays out. I mean, a tighter ball game, you might not see that many. We're big on getting the back lathered up, getting him going and playing, and unfortunately that doesn't get to include everybody unless you're in a special circumstance, which doesn't happen all the time. We want our best runners in there to run. We want our best protectors in there to protect. We want our best pass catchers in there to catch the passes. So best players are going to play to the point of exhaustion, and then we got to be able to play other guys.
Kirby, Sam Pittman in year 2, it seems like it is for a lot of these offensive linemen. They're playing under the same coach for the 2nd year in a row. How good of a job do you think he's done with, like getting these guys to improve gradually and become, kind of the, I guess less. I mean, they were seen as more of a weakness to start the season. No 3 starters coming back, but at the same time now they're kind of starting to assert themselves as maybe a little bit of the strength of this offense.
Well, I'm one that looks at things a little different because I say that Sam Pittman did a good job last year, and everybody does everything based on results. That's the world we live in, and he did the same job last year that he's doing this year to the tune of different results. You know, we're able to throw the ball. We got a little more vertical threats in our receivers. Got a system that's working a little bit better, running the ball a little bit better, doing less runs. I mean, there's not a lot of secrets to it. He's working the same number of hours, and he's working just as hard as he did last year. We're just getting better production right now. And we still probably hadn't seen a front quite as big and playing as many people as Mizzou does. They play a lot of guys. They play about 10 guys up front, and we'll face better fronts than we faced the last couple games in coming weeks, including this week.
Coach, what have you seen from Monty Rice and more of an in a bigger role of that linebacker position now? And I mean, how do you feel like he's kind of grown from the beginning of the season to now at halfway point?
He's grown up a lot. You know, he was one of the guys that was very fortunate to get spring practice. So he got spring practice, which helped him be a little bit ahead of the other backers we signed as far as knowing what to do. We thought all spring he was going to be a good player because he's really fast. He thumps you when he gets there. It was more of a can he be comfortable and not have anxiety playing in the heat of the moment. Thought he got over some of that. You know, he made a play against who was it? Was it Mississippi State? You know, there at the end of the game. I thought that gave him some confidence. He was able to make some plays the other day. I think Monty's going to be a mighty fine football player. He's just growing, you know, and he's shown a lot of growth, and he's got a long way to go.
Kirby, actually, good follow-up to Brandon's question. My count is you've played 17 true freshmen this year. Hopefully that's close to your count. How do you go about determining this guy's ready to play and then how much to put on their plate?
I think you determine that by practice and their awareness. I mean, we knew a long time ago Andrew Thomas was ready. We knew a long time ago DeAndre Swift was ready. They proved that in camp, and neither of those guys were here mid-year. But that's an ongoing process, and it's an ongoing evaluation. We don't hold anybody back that can help us win. And if a guy's ready to help us win, then the guy plays. As far as how much, that's up to them. That's up to the competition in practice and how well they do. But a significant amount of those freshmen you're referring to are helping in special teams, and they've been part of the special team turnaround.
Kirby, a two-parter here. What's the latest on Trent Thompson with his recovery, and also after watching the film, how did the D lineman play in his absence?
Trent's recovering. He'll be day to day and week to week. We haven't ruled him out for this game. We hope to be able to get him back. He's still battling back. He's moving now, running some. But as far as in his absence, how the guys played, they played very similar to the ways they've been playing the weeks before. We probably didn't strike blockers as well against Vanderbilt as we had done before. We had a couple guys playing more snaps than they did before. We had a couple guys playing different positions where our zero nose is playing 5 technique. Julian had to go play some other positions. So we had guys playing more snaps, and we also didn't get off the field on third down, which resulted in more snaps for the defensive line. So the conditioning part had an effect on Saturday, playing in the heat and playing guys a lot of snaps. We just didn't have as many guys to play with Trenton out.
Kirby, since Mizzou shows tendency to throw the ball 40-plus times, which will obviously wear on the secondary, how you know, from camp on, you know, you concerned about the gap between the, you know, junior, seniors and the younger guys? How are they coming on, and do you think they'll get a lot of playing time Saturday because of Mizzou's passing attack?
Well, my first thing is I would say that people mistake Mizzou. Mizzou's a very 50-50 balanced team, and a lot of the passes you see from Mizzou are RPOs, which are dictated by what the defense does. So they're a designed run with a pass attached, but we have a much more balanced. They're a very good running football team when it comes to execution. They get people out of the box, they spread you out, and then they attack you. And if you don't control the run game, it'll be a long night because they'll just do that. Now, can they throw the ball vertical down the field? Yeah. They throw it good, and they've got some weapons to do it with. But that probably won't have anything to do with the number of DBs that play, because typically we play the best DBs in all situations. We're not rotating a lot of guys at DB.
Coach, did last year going 8-5, did that in any way set y'all up for the 6-0 start you've had?
I honestly believe that every year is independent of the previous. It's like a coin flip. You know, they say that if it's 10 times heads, the next one's going to be tails. It's not true. It's 50-50 every time. So that last year had nothing to do with this year, in my opinion. I mean, I think they're completely independent. I think the leadership of this team is completely different of that team last year. The practice environment's different. There's a lot of differences.
Kirby, you mentioned at the start that the job of the coach is to convince players of the challenge at hand this week. Do you have a feel yet for the maturity level of the team to maintain the focus on a week-to-week basis and not get caught up in big picture things?
It's hard to say the feel. I met with some guys yesterday. I always meet with a few guys just situationally on Sunday, but I really hadn't seen the team yet, and that'll be a big directive and motive for us as coaches today.
Another running back question, yards after contact. How pleased have you been with that aspect of your running back and how hard they're running?
Yeah, I don't know statistically what it is, but I got to believe it's pretty good. I mean, I know they keep up with it, but it's not something that I chart. I know Dale calls them dog yards, yards after contact, and he gets a lot of motivation through those in his room because there's competition to see who gets the best job of that. They do a tremendous job of that. But I think also our offensive line deserves credit because it's not only getting the holes there, but it's the second level covering down and pushing the pile where a lot of those yards are extended. Sony had the one run where he kept his legs driving and they just piled on. They take pride in that. I think Coach Pittman takes a lot of pride in that.
More injuries. Reggie, Carter, Solomon, Kinley, and then Chigbu practiced last week and then I guess didn't end up being on the didn't suit up.
Yeah, Chigbu will be out there today. We hope to get him back 100% healthy. He's had a lingering shoulder that's been bothering him. We hope to get him back. Reggie is day-to-day. I think we'll get Reggie back probably today or tomorrow. Just check, see how he is today. And then who's the other one? Solomon, I think, is fine. So.
Kirby, I guess I'll be the one that asks this. You guys moved up to fourth in the rankings. Obviously, that means that all possibilities are on the table. I'm just wondering how you manage that, internally. Is like anybody that says playoff is has to run gassers, or nobody can say that, or is it something that's up there on the board like here's where the arrows point and you got here's how you get there.
Yeah, I mean, you address it with the kids. We don't talk about what we're ranked. We didn't talk about where we're ranked last week. It's really no difference because none of it matters. I mean, all we talk about is a race, and there's a race, and the race is, at the 50-meter mark, and that's where the race is. And I don't know one person that ever talked about, Gatlin being ahead of Bolt at the 50-meter mark. Nobody cared. So nobody cares about that. They only care about where you finish, and they only care about what you do next. And that's our objective, is to do what's next.
Kirby, I guess Vandy had a decent punt return, good distance on the punt. The balance between distance and hang time, and I don't know if your coverage unit was there for the player, or kind of how you view how Cam's doing and the punt team on that.
Yeah, Cam's doing a good job. I'd love for him to be a little more consistent yardage and hang. We always talk to him about that. It's a hard job to measure because every punter wants to bang it as far as he can, and we want him to hit as far as he can. He just got to balance up the hang time and the distance. He hit that one a little firm. He went 9-degree driver instead of the 12-degree, but he drove it, and we got to cover whatever he kicks. So I'm proud of the way he's kicking, but yeah, that's one he's got to improve on.
How do you think your pass rush is doing in terms of affecting the quarterback lately?
Up and down. I mean, not where it needs to be. We're not we're not an explosive pass rush team like everybody wants you to be. That's just not who we are. We're strike blockers, play the run. We try to convert the pass rush. We try to get the quarterback in passing situations, then attack them. But it's hard sometimes with the style of defense that we play, and some games are more apt to get pressure than others. And we didn't do a real good job of getting pressure in the last game. We're concerned a lot of times with the run game. So it's something that we work on each week. We try to improve on, and we need as many players as we can to be helpful to get where we want to go from a pass rush standpoint. But there's so much more to pass rush than just sacks. It's affecting the quarterback, and that's where it was disappointing last week. We didn't do as good a job of that as we needed to. Thanks.
One more, anybody?
Is Malcolm Parrish still not quite 100%, or do you like what you've seen out of the other guys to to keep rolling those guys out there in base?
No, I mean, it's Malcolm's. He's back. He feels good. He's playing. Tyreek's playing good. So it's similar to every position we got. We're going to play the guys that are playing the best. I don't feel like Malcolm's being held out of anything for any reason. He's back. He feels good about his foot. Conditioning's probably the biggest thing, just not being able to play every snap in the game and being able to play and roll other players, especially guys that have earned the right, like Tyreek and Baker and all those guys. So we'll continue to do that week to week based on practice.